and faces are broader. Everything must be able to be read from very far away.
What if I told you that some of the world's most famous celebrities were concealing deeply disturbing secrets? These shocking truths about Hollywood's elite will make you question everything you believed about stardom. You won't want to miss a moment. Number 25, Ann Miller.
Everybody with care and trouble that day.
Ann Miller was Hollywood's most radiant tap dancer, dazzling audiences with her extraordinary talent. Yet behind her glamorous image lay a devastating secret that almost broke her. Her marriage to Rhys Milner marked the beginning of her darkest days. Renowned for her unmatched skills on the dance floor, Ann Miller captivated the world, but behind the scenes, she endured unspeakable tragedies. Her first husband, Rhys Milner, was far from the charming man he appeared to be. Though his wealthy scrap-iron heir swept Anne off her feet with his lavish lifestyle. His temper soon unleashed, though, a nightmare that would haunt her forever. Milner was, in every sense, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and poor Anne had no idea what horrors awaited her. In 1946, after studio head Harry Caine reluctantly let Anne out of her contract, she and Milner wed just 2 days after Valentine's Day. Their picturesque chapel wedding in Montecito, California, seemed like a dream, but it quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Within 2 months of marriage, Anne became pregnant. While she was thrilled about becoming a mother, her marriage began to unravel in terrifying ways. Milner's jealousy was suffocating, and he couldn't stand Anne spending time with her mother or friends. But this was just the beginning of her ordeal. Anne soon realized that Milner's mood swings weren't merely erratic, they were terrifying. He shifted from moments of aggression to uncontrolled rage. Tragically, his behavior stemmed from a head injury years earlier when a horse fell on him, permanently altering his personality. Unfortunately, Anne bore the brunt of his volatility, paying the ultimate price for his unbridled fury. By the time Anne was 9 months pregnant, the couple was staying at Milner's ranch, eagerly awaiting the arrival of their baby girl, Mary. But tragedy struck in the most horrifying way. During a heated argument, Milner's temper exploded, and he pushed Anne down a flight of stairs. The fall fractured her lower back, and shortly after, she went into labor. What followed was a nightmare beyond comprehension. On November the 12th, 1946, Anne endured the agony of childbirth with a broken back, delivering her baby girl. Yet her joy was heartbreakingly brief. Baby Mary lived only 3 hours before passing away, leaving Anne shattered. Her grief was unfathomable, and the pain became her most tightly guarded secret. To maintain her public image, the truth was buried. Instead, the media circulated a fabricated story, claiming Anne had been in a car accident and lost her baby. She never got the chance to know her daughter, but Anne wasn't the only star to endure such harrowing loss. Another legendary figure experienced a similar tragedy, only his loss involved the person who gave him life. Number 24, Michael Caine.
And in their desperation, they turned to a man they didn't fully understand.
Michael Caine believed he knew everything about his family, but after his mother's passing, he uncovered a secret that changed his life forever. Unbeknownst to Caine, his mother had been keeping an extraordinary secret her entire life, one that left the family reeling. While he grew up alongside his younger brother Stanley, it wasn't until after his mother's death that he learned of an older half-brother named David. Shockingly, even Caine's father had no idea about David's existence. The family matriarch kept this secret tightly guarded, only revealing glimpses of the truth during her solitary visits to see David at the hospital, where he spent his entire life due to severe epilepsy. Sir Michael Caine, CBE, a legendary retired English actor, is celebrated for his iconic Cockney accent and a career spanning 8 decades. Appearing in more than 160 films, he remains a towering figure in British cinema. Caine's breakout role came in Zulu, 1964, an epic portrayal of a 19th century battle between British soldiers and Zulu warriors in South Africa, which earned him international recognition. Despite the success of Zulu, it was his performance as Harry Palmer in The Ipcris File, 1965, and the title role of Alfie, 1966, that cemented his status as a leading star. Caine epitomized the rise of the working-class actor in 1960s England, with his signature glasses and down-to-earth charm redefining what it meant to be a movie star. Number 23, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, this is one of the most wonderful experiences I ever had. I got to work with Bobby Fairley again.
Woody Harrelson may be known for his easygoing charm, but his family history is anything but laid back. His father was one of the most infamous hitmen in American history. Few realize that behind Woody Harrelson's immense talent and charisma lies a shocking connection. His father, Charles Harrelson, was one of the most notorious hitmen of the 20th century. Charles made headline for committing the first recorded assassination of a federal judge and once murdered a carpet salesman over a mere $1,500 dispute. Academy Award-nominated and Emmy Award-winning actor Woodrow Tracy Harrelson was born on July 23, 1961, in Midland, Texas, to Diane Lou Oswald and Charles Harrelson. He grew up in Lebanon, Ohio, his mother's hometown, and after earning degrees in theater arts and English from Hanover College, Harrelson began his career in New York theater. His big break came when he was cast as Woody on the TV series Cheers, 1982, one of the most iconic shows of all time, which earned him an Emmy for his performance in 1989. Although Harrelson dabbled in film during his Cheers years, his movie career truly took off toward the end of the series. He gained recognition with Doc Hollywood, 1991, and cemented his status as a leading man with hits like White Man Can't Jump, 1992, Indecent Proposal, 1993, and Natural Born Killers, 1994. In more recent years, Harrelson has starred in acclaimed films like No Country for Old Men, 2007, Zombieland, 2009, and Friends with Benefits, 2011. As well as the HBO political drama A Game Change, 2012, showcasing his remarkable versatility as an actor. Number 22, Esther Williams. Esther Williams was Hollywood's reigning queen of the unique aqua musicals of the 1940s and 50s. No one could glide out of a pool with as much poise and charm as Williams, her radiant smile captivating audiences. Yet behind her sparkling public image, she led a private life filled with scandalous romances and daring indulgences. Much of it remained hidden until her explosive memoir revealed one of her most shocking affairs. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping revelation in Williams' memoir was her tumultuous relationship with Jeff Chandler. She first met the dashing actor during a particularly difficult period in her life. MGM had recently dropped her, and her marriage was falling apart. Vulnerable and seeking comfort, Williams threw herself into a whirlwind romance with Chandler, which quickly grew intense. The couple even came close to walking down the aisle, until a startling discovery changed everything. Williams recalled the moment she walked into her bedroom and saw something she could never have anticipated: Chandler standing there, dressed in a gown, wig, and high heels. Known for his rugged masculinity, standing an imposing 6'5", Chandler's appearance shocked her to the core. Unable to reconcile what she had seen, Williams ended the relationship immediately and kept the incident a secret for years. It wasn't until the release of her memoir that the astonishing truth came to light, leaving Hollywood and her fans stunned by the revelation. Number 21, Matthew Broderick.
Well, typically the gestures are larger and faces are broader. Everything must be able to be read from very far away.
Matthew Broderick's wholesome boy-next-door image conceals a dark chapter in his past. A tragic car accident in Ireland in 1987 nearly derailed his life and left an indelible mark on two grieving families. While vacationing in Ireland with Dirty Dancing star Jennifer Grey, Broderick was driving when his car collided head-on with a Volvo. Though Broderick and Grey survived the crash, the two passengers in the other vehicle lost their lives. Initially facing up to 10 years in prison for death by dangerous driving, Broderick was ultimately convicted of the lesser charge of careless driving and fined just $175. To this day, Broderick has said he is deeply haunted by the tragedy. The accident, which left Broderick with a broken leg, occurred just as his breakout film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986, was becoming a cultural phenomenon in the United States. Despite its massive box office success, the movie's acclaim was overshadowed by this personal tragedy. Later, Broderick took on his first action role in the special effects blockbuster Godzilla, 1998, for which he remains under contract for potential sequels. In addition to his film career, Broderick has occasionally returned to the stage in New York, starring in revivals of beloved musical classics like How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and dramatic plays such as Night Must Fall. Number 20, Jack Nicholson.
I don't make the rules.
Okay, I'll make it.
Jack Nicholson thought he knew his family, but the truth was more twisted than any plot he'd ever portrayed on screen. The revelation shook his world and made headlines everywhere. Raised by the people he believed were his parents, Nicholson grew up thinking his older sister June was simply that, his sister. It wasn't until the passing of his parents that a shocking family secret came to light. June was actually his mother, and his supposed parents were, in fact, his grandparents. The family had concealed the truth to protect June from the stigma of being a teenage mother. Jack Nicholson, a legendary American actor, producer, director, and screenwriter, has earned 3 Academy Awards and a staggering 12 nominations. He is only one of 2 actors, alongside Michael Caine, to receive Oscar nominations in every decade from the 1960s through to the 2000s. Nicholson's career skyrocketed with his breakout role as George Hanson, a booze-soaked lawyer in Easy Rider, 1969, which earned him his first Oscar nomination. The 1970s solidified his status as one of Hollywood's finest, with standout performances in 5 Easy Pieces, 1970, Chinatown, 1974, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975, which won him his first Best Actor Oscar. The 1980s brought more iconic roles, including his unforgettable turn as Jack Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, 1980. In the 1990s, Nicholson continued to captivate audiences with roles in A Few Good Men, 1992, which garnered yet another Oscar nomination, and his memorable dual performance in the sci-fi comedy Mars Attacks, 1996. Number 19, Carrie Grant.
We're all gonna die soon. I will, you will, and it sure sounds like your son will.
When Cary Grant was just 9 years old, his mother vanished without a trace, leaving a void in his young life. Initially, Grant's father, Elias, told him that his mother had gone away to a seaside resort. But as time passed, he revealed a different story, one that was equally devastating. He claimed Grant's mother had died, yet even this was a cruel fabrication, and the true story of her disappearance didn't come to light until Grant was an adult. At the age of 31, Cary Grant's world was turned upside down once again. His father, Elias, gravely ill and on his deathbed, finally confessed a long-held secret. Grant's mother, Elsie, wasn't dead, and she hadn't gone to a resort either. Instead, she had been alive all along, confined to a mental asylum. Shockingly, Elias had committed her to the institution so he could start a new life with another woman. Horrified by the revelation, Grant wasted no time. He immediately traveled back to England to secure his mother's release, determined to right the wrongs of his father's betrayal. Number 18, Bob Hope. Bob Hope might have been America's picture-perfect family man, but behind closed doors, his private life told a very different story. The man adored by millions for his quick wit and charm had a much darker side, known only to Hollywood insiders. Despite his wholesome image, Hope's loyalty was paper-thin. As one industry veteran put it, whenever Hope checked into a hotel, outside his door were 3, 4, sometimes 5 young, beautiful women waiting to be chosen. It seemed Hope was playing a risky game, and sooner or later it was bound to catch up with him. In 1949, Hope dove headfirst into an affair with rising starlet Barbara Payton. To keep their illicit romance under wraps, he even went so far as to secure her a private Hollywood apartment, making it easy for him to come and go as he pleased. But Payton wasn't content to stay in the shadows. Hungry for attention and eager for more, she started pressuring Hope for extravagant gifts and special treatment. Cue the drama. Eventually, Hope grew tired of the arrangement and ended things with Payton, but not without covering his tracks. He paid her off to ensure her silence, and unfortunately for him, though, Payton had no intention of keeping silent. In 1956, she turned her heartbreak into headlines, dishing all the scandalous details of their affair in a tell-all interview with Confidential magazine. For Hope, the fallout was anything but funny. Number 17, Richard Pryor.
Day in America.
I said, yeah, that motherfucker right. You got some money or a pistol, you can get something to eat.
Richard Pryor turned his deepest pain into legendary comedy, but his childhood was far from a laughing matter. Born into a tumultuous world, Pryor's mother was a prostitute who worked in his grandmother's brothel, where he grew up. When his mother eventually abandoned him, the young Pryor was left in the care of his grandmother, a woman whose harsh and abusive nature defined much of his early life. To make matters worse, Pryor's father was a hustler who was rarely around, leaving him without a stable male role model. Despite these heartbreaking beginnings, Pryor found a way to channel his pain into raw, groundbreaking humor that would define his career. Richard Franklin Lennox Thomas Pryor Sr. became a trailblazer in stand-up comedy, captivating audiences with his searing observations and unparalleled storytelling. Today, he is celebrated as one of the most influential and greatest comedians of all time, proving that even the darkest past can inspire brilliance. Number 16, Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart's wholesome persona was nothing more than a clever disguise. Behind the curtain of her family-friendly image, she was leading a wild life filled with partying and experimentation that would leave her fans astounded. While Hart became synonymous with innocence through her iconic roles in shows like Clarissa Explains It All and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, she candidly revealed her hidden escapades in her memoir, Melissa Explains It All, Tales from My Abnormally Normal Life. In it, she opens up about her experimentation with drugs and the hard partying lifestyle she embraced away from the spotlight. Melissa Joan Hart is an accomplished American actress, known for her leading roles in beloved sitcoms like Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Melissa and Joey. She also graced the screen as Liz in No Good Nick and appeared in films such as Drive Me Crazy, 9 Dead, and God's Not Dead too, showcasing her versatility beyond her squeaky clean reputation. Number 15, Kathy Griffin.
I went way too far. The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It wasn't funny. I get it.
Kathy Griffin's sharp wit conceals a painful past. The disturbing behavior of her brother left her with lifelong scars that continue to affect her today. Though Kathy Griffin often presents a facade of humor and happiness, her autobiography, My Life on the D-List, reveals a darker side. In it, she candidly discusses her brother's sexual impropriety, which resulted in long-term trauma that she still grapples with today. Kenny Griffin, her brother, was eventually imprisoned for physically abusing his wife and died behind bars. Kathleen Mary Griffin is a renowned American comedian and actress, known for her work in television series, stand-up comedy specials, and multiple comedy albums. In 2007 and 2008, she won Primetime Emmy Awards for her reality show Kathy Griffin, My Life on the D-List. Additionally, she has taken on supporting roles in various films, further showcasing her versatility as a performer. Number 14, Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's ascent to stardom was far from the glamorous narrative portrayed on screen. Before she became one of Hollywood's leading ladies, she was concealing a dark secret that MGM worked tirelessly to suppress. Allegedly, prior to her rise to fame, Joan Crawford appeared in at least one pornographic film, possibly while underage. The truth of this allegation remains obscured, as every copy of the film was reportedly sought out and destroyed by Crawford's employer, MGM Studios. When Crawford severed ties with MGM in 1943, she infamously paid them $50,000, an unusual move that raises eyebrows unless one considers it a hush money arrangement to ensure her scandalous and damaging film debut would remain buried. Number 13, Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman's iconic on-screen romances were legendary, but her off-screen liaisons were even more scandalous. One shocking love affair remained concealed for years. 5 years after her death, details of one of Ingrid Bergman's secret affairs emerged. In an interview with People, Gregory Peck made a startling revelation. During the filming of 1945's Spellbound, he and Bergman shared a brief yet intense moment of passion. He remarked, "All I can say is that I had a real love for her, and I think that's where I ought to stop. I was young. She was young. We were involved for weeks in close and intense work." But Peck wasn't the only one stepping into the spotlight to reveal hidden truths. Number 12, Robert Downey Jr.
To know is to understand. The question is already answered in its asking.
Robert Downey Jr.'s troubled past is widely recognized, but the heartbreaking origins of his addictions are less known. His father's actions set him on a dark path. Robert Downey Jr.'s life, marred by substance abuse, nearly cost him his career and personal happiness. It was his father, Robert Downey Sr., who introduced his 8-year-old son to drugs and alcohol. Fortunately, both men have since embraced sobriety and expressed deep regret over their past actions. Number 13, John Huston. John Huston's illustrious career faced a near-fatal blow due to a tragic accident. He fled Hollywood for years, burdened by the guilt of a crime that haunted him. John Huston was a legendary filmmaker known for writing and directing some of the most celebrated and influential American films, including The Maltese Falcon and The African Queen. He quickly earned a reputation as a hard-drinking, hard-living womanizer. However, before making his directorial debut, a young Huston was striving to establish himself as a screenwriter when he struck dancer Tosca Rulian with his car, resulting in her death. Though he was exonerated in court, the weight of the incident haunted him, prompting him to abandon Hollywood for 5 years as he wandered through Europe until 1937. Rumors circulated at the time suggesting that it was actually the famed actor Clark Gable who had actually killed Rulian, with Huston being paid to take the blame. Number 10, Charlize Theron.
I'm not having a ton of luck here.
Is this something for work?
No, it's a special occasion. It's not a formal occasion. I'm looking for something chic.
Charlize Theron's traumatic past is seldom discussed. When she was just a teenager, her family was shattered by a shocking act of violence. Theron was raised on a farm in South Africa, and one fateful night, her father assaulted her mother. In self-defense, her mother struck back, resulting in her father's death on the spot. Gerda Theron faced no charges for the incident. Charlize Theron rarely speaks about this tragic event. Charlize Theron is a South African and American actress and producer. As one of the highest-paid actresses in the world, she has received numerous accolades, including an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. In 2016, Time named her one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Number 9, Bert Lancaster. Bert Lancaster was a Hollywood heartthrob with a shocking secret. His private life was closely monitored by the FBI, but was it all part of a smear campaign? In 2000, 6 years after his death, the FBI released startling documents about Bert Lancaster. Back in the 1950s, J. Edgar Hoover had been keeping a watchful eye on Lancaster, particularly on his personal life. The documents suggested that Lancaster had affairs with numerous men and even hinted at predatory behavior. However, the reliability of this information is questionable. Hoover may have fabricated these claims to further tarnish Lancaster's reputation, viewing him as a potential communist threat. Beyond the FBI, rumors of Lancaster's homosexuality continued to circulate. Many of these stemmed from his intense dedication to fitness and his choice of male personal secretaries over female ones. Perhaps the most revealing evidence was his frequent visits to Rock Hudson's home, rumored to be a hotspot for gay orgies. In fact, whispers about these steamy encounters began to emerge long before Lancaster's passing. Number 8, Lauren Bacall.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
Lauren Bacall's legacy is shrouded in secrets. In her final years, she unveiled shocking details about her clandestine Hollywood affairs and rivalries. Just a month shy of her 90th birthday, Lauren Bacall suffered a stroke and passed away in her longtime Manhattan residence, the Dakota. Bacall had always been an enigmatic figure, but in her later years she began to reveal the secrets that had long remained hidden, and many of them were absolutely jaw-dropping. When Lauren Bacall rejected Howard Hawks, the director, who had discovered her, on the set of her first film, he was furious, and his anger only intensified upon learning of her affair with Humphrey Bogart. Years later, when asked about the love triangle, Hawks delivered a brutally memorable response. He remarked, "Bogey fell in love with the character she played, so she had to keep playing it the rest of her life. Harsh." Number 7, Anthony Perkins.
You know, I think I must have one of those faces you just can't help believing.
Anthony Perkins' private life was steeped in secrets, but one of his most devastating truths emerged just before his death, leaving fans in shock. One of Anthony Perkins' biggest secrets was his romance with Hollywood heartthrob Tab Hunter. They kept their affair hidden from everyone, presenting themselves to friends as mere college buddies. Behind closed doors, however, their passion burned brightly. Although their secret love affair lasted just 3 years, it paled in comparison to Perkins' most harrowing reality. Those close to Perkins have remained tight-lipped about his fidelity or whether he engaged in affairs with men during his marriage. His friends were fiercely protective of his privacy. When the Inquirer, a tabloid known for sensationalism, published a story claiming that Perkins had HIV, few took it seriously, except perhaps Perkins himself. Stunned by the media's allegations, he sought tests to uncover the truth. When the results came back positive, he realized that the Inquirer must have obtained access to this confidential information before he did. As it turned out, everything that could jeopardize Perkins' career remained buried beneath the surface. This included his many boyfriends and, now, his devastating diagnosis. He chose to endure AIDS in silence, confiding only in his wife and family. Even hospital visits were shrouded in secrecy. Number 6, Jackie Chan.
What's my secret? I have no secret. Everybody knows where I'm born, what my father was doing. For me, I have no secret. I want some secret.
Jackie Chan's affinity for risk-taking may have deep roots in his family history. Both of his parents led extraordinarily secret lives filled with crime and intrigue long before he was born. Chan's flair for adventure comes from his mother, an infamous drug lord, and his father, a secret agent working for the Nationalist Guard. Their paths crossed when his father apprehended Chan's soon-to-be mother for drug possession, setting the stage for a dramatic family legacy. Chan Kong Sang, SBS, MBE, PMW, better known as Jackie Chan, is a renowned Hong Kong actor, director, writer, producer, martial artist, and stuntman. He is celebrated for his slapstick aerobic fighting style, impeccable comedic timing, and innovative stunts, which he usually performs himself. Number 5. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley might have been the king of rock and roll, but his insecurities led to unsettling behavior that's seldom talked about. His secrets unveil a much darker side. Despite being the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley was profoundly insecure, particularly when it came to This resulted in him seeking out young girls who lacked sexual experience, which placed significant pressure on himself. Consequently, he would ask his managers to gather girls who were 16 or younger, which in most states was somewhat illegal even at that time, unless, of course, you were a music and movie star like Presley. Number 4. Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan's escape from a horrifying upbringing in a cult was marked by witnessing rampant abuse. Her past is darker than any role she has ever portrayed on screen. McGowan is a well-known actress who has often sought to keep her past hidden. She was raised in a cult known as the Children of God, where her parents and other cult members embraced a belief in free love. Throughout her childhood, she witnessed widespread sexual abuse and the mistreatment of women. Ultimately, she left the cult as a teenager. Rose McGowan is an American actress and director celebrated for her contributions to independent film. Since the age of 19, she has appeared in acclaimed works by notable filmmakers such as Greg Araki, Wes Craven, Brian De Palma, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino. In 2014, her directorial debut, Dawn, received a nomination for the Short Film Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. Number 3. Wallace Reed. Wallace Reed was Hollywood's original action hero, but a devastating onset injury spiraled him into addiction, a dark chapter that the studios desperately tried to conceal. Before Dwayne Johnson, Tom Cruise, Steve McQueen, and even Tyrone Power, there was Wallace Reed. Reed built a career on performing his own stunts and portraying daring characters in films like The Roaring Road. However, everything changed in 1919 when an accident on the set of The Valley of the Giants left him in excruciating pain, leading to a morphine addiction. During a time when seeking rehab was considered a scandal, the studio worked tirelessly to hide Reed's substance abuse issues. Eventually, the situation deteriorated to a point where they had no choice but to send him to a sanitarium to address his addiction. Tragically, by then it was too late. His withdrawal led to a heart attack, ultimately claiming his life. Number 2. Maran Davies. Maran Davies harbored a significant secret that was only revealed when her niece made a shocking deathbed confession, unveiling the truth about Davies' real child. Throughout her life, Maran Davies maintained a close bond with her nieces and nephews, but her favorite was undoubtedly her sister Rose's daughter, Patricia. Patricia spent considerable time with Hearst and Davies, and when Davies passed, she left her a generous inheritance. No one questioned this arrangement until 1993, when Patricia made a startling deathbed revelation. It was then that she disclosed to her immediate family that Davies and Hearst were, in fact, her biological parents, not her aunt and uncle. As her family began piecing together the puzzle, they uncovered a more coherent narrative. Patricia had been born in an unnamed hospital in France sometime between 1919 and 1923, right around the period when Davies and Hearst commenced their long-lasting affair. According to the story, when Davies became pregnant, Hearst sent her to France to deliver the baby away from the prying eyes of Hollywood gossip columnists. Coincidentally, Davies' sister Rose had recently lost a child. With a choice laid before her, Davies gave her baby to Rose, and they altered the paperwork to facilitate the adoption. However, the journey was far from straightforward. In 1924, Rose's estranged husband, George, kidnapped young Patricia and vanished for 5 years. Although the loss of her secret child undoubtedly impacted Davies, she couldn't display her emotions for fear of exposure. Nonetheless, Hearst sprang into action, hiring a detective to track them down, ultimately reuniting the family. Over the years, Hearst provided financial support to Patricia, and both Davies and Hearst eventually confided in her about their secret and the circumstances surrounding her birth. Despite nearly taking this knowledge to her grave, the truth finally emerged, bringing closure to a hidden chapter of their lives. Number 1. Stan Laurel. Stan Laurel's comedic partnership with Oliver Hardy was legendary, but his off-screen behavior was far from amusing. His dark side was unveiled during a shocking divorce. Laurel and Hardy became a beloved double act in the golden age of classic Hollywood, with Hardy playing the bully and Laurel as the bumbling straight man. However, behind the scenes, Stan Laurel struggled with violent alcoholism, a fact that came to light during his third divorce. Vera Shavalova, his wife at the time, alleged that Laurel had threatened her with a gun, and reports surfaced that her friends had to intervene when Laurel began digging a grave in their backyard, declaring that he would bury her alive. Good God! The scandal was ultimately suppressed, as Shavalova was barred from discussing or publishing anything about her marriage to Laurel due to a stipulation in their divorce agreement. It's astounding how the allure of fabricated scandals often overshadows such shocking truths. Wow, some of these tales are absolutely astonishing. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another incredible story. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.